Hi, this is a demo of using Openshift with NetApp storage. First, I log into the Openshift user interface. Once I'm logged in, you see a couple of projects in there. Then I log into the NetApp storage system to see a couple of volumes which are already deployed there. Then I SSH into the Linux system, which really runs my Openshift installation. Then I invoke the CLI command of the NetApp Kubernetes plugin to see that there is already a storage backend configured to it. For the demo, I'm going back to the Openshift interface and create a new project. I will deploy here a MySQL database that is really sitting on persistent storage. For that, I go into data stores. There we already have templates. Choose the MySQL persistent one. I go with defaults here. Maybe change the size requirements a little bit. And go with it. Openshift is now deploying automatically persistent backend storage on the NetApp storage system and will place the MySQL database on persistent storage. I can go into my deployed container and see there is a persistent volume claim called MySQL. When I click on it, I see that there is a volume database MySQL created. And when I go to my storage system, I find the same volume on my storage system. This is one example how easy it is to attach persistent storage to containers running in an Openshift environment by using the NetApp plugin. For the next demo, I've created a little PHP application that is stored on GitHub. The application is basically showing a web page. It shows you on which container it runs, and it would present you a little picture that is stored in a subdirectory of the web root. To deploy this application in Openshift, I go back to the user interface and create a new project. Here I'm just choosing I want to deploy a PHP application, and I provide my link to my Git repository. Openshift then automatically creates a new container with PHP installed in it and a web server, and it also downloads my application code and deploys it automatically. As soon as it is deployed, I can access it by using the provided URL. I go into a web browser and I see my application. Obviously, there is a problem with my picture. So what I do here, I go to the page source and I see that there's supposed to be a picture in a subdirectory. What we're going to do now is we create a persistent volume and attach it to our container. I go to the container and say add storage to my page. I choose here the basic storage class, which is really referring to my backend, to my NetApp backend system. Choose a name and choose a size, say create. Now again, the plugin is creating a volume in the backend, and I need to choose a mount point for my container. I choose here the web root and the subdirectory that I refer to in the code. Here again, I find a new volume on my backend storage system, which is mounted into my web root. I also see that the pod is being redeployed, because every time I change something on a container, it's being deleted and redeployed again. So I go into the new container, and there I see my volume mount, and I can go into the terminal. So I'm in the container now, and I see I have a couple of files, including the web directory, which is really the backend volume on the NetApp system. For demo purposes, I download the picture into that directory directly from the container in order to make my web page work. When I go back to my web page and refresh it, I see it's working now. It gets the picture from the persistent backend storage. To show how powerful Openshift is, I go back to my project and scale my application. So I just scale up to 3 containers. And Openshift has a load balancer built in. So it would automatically load balance the request between the 3 containers. For that, I copy my URL and go to a different web browser and see that the same page is loaded from a different container. And I do that a third time, a different browser, also reload here, and I see I get the very same page from 3 different containers. The NetApp plugin makes sure that the persistent volume where the picture is stored is automatically attached to every container. Next, we want to mimic a developer changing something in his application. For that purpose, we're going to edit the little web page on GitHub, and we'll commit the code into the repository. Then we go back to the Openshift user interface, and we just choose Start Build. Openshift will then fetch the new version of the application from the repository and will deploy it automatically. For that purpose, it's creating a new container and will then do a rolling upgrade, which is just started. The load balancer makes sure that all requests are balanced over the old and the new containers until all new containers are in place. I will then go to my web browsers and do a refresh in order to see that the new version is deployed and I'm being load balanced into a new container for every web browser. When I go back to the CLI of my Linux host and invoke the plugin CLI to see which volumes are deployed, I find now 2 volumes, one for my SQL database and one for my persistent web directory to store my picture. Question we often hear is, that's nice, but who is making sure that all the unused volumes are deleted? So when I go back to my Openshift interface and I decide to delete my app, project and my database project, the plugin makes sure that all associated volumes to that project are deleted on the storage backend as well. So when I go back to my CLI to see which volumes are provisioned by the NetApp plugin, I see there are no longer any volumes provisioned, and I do the same refresh on my storage system, and I also see all volumes are gone. This concludes this demo. Please find more information on netapp.io/containers. Thanks for watching.